and it was like a Virginia hardcore crew that like came to the show just to beat up kids, and which is so stupid to me. They paid money to get in to beat up kids that are probably like 6 years younger than them. So there's these dudes just like punching kids. So Zach gets off stage, someone punches him, I get off stage, and I go down and we're just like going at it. Me and him are just beating the shit out of these guys. And they all got kicked out and we were fine. We came back on stage and kids went nuts after that. Like after they got kicked out and we did that, like standing up for all of them, like it was like crazy. Yeah. I mean, a couple of the guys were just like, let's start a band, and it just progressed, and we've had some member changes and got to the lineup where we're at today. But I mean, if you want it bad enough, the right people just kind of eventually, you know, fit together, and that's just kind of what's happened with us. Like every time we've lost someone, we've tried to improve at that position. We've tried to get someone who not only was a member like of the band and could, you know, add to the band musically, but someone that we all got along with and had a great personality, because that's also very important to us. So, and I think we've done that. We've grown every single time. So. I mean, visually kicking or punting a baby, I guess, seems the funniest. Well, on stage and off stage, I'm kind of two different people. On stage, I think you kind of have to be that like enforcer, that commanding, you know, confident person. And then when it comes to like off stage, like, or we were talking before this started about, you know, people who like to try and pick on bands and stuff, and we're the band that, especially like, we'll stand up for our fans, we'll stand up for our friends, but off stage, like, I'm the dude who I would much rather prefer like just going home, sitting on the couch, drinking a beer and watch a movie than to like go party or go do anything. Like, it's just not my style, and I'm pretty subdued, I guess you could say, overall. So it's a pretty drastic change from, you know, screaming on stage in kids' faces to getting off stage and being really, really mellow. I think it's extremely important. I mean, especially for a band like us, like, you get kind of lumped into, you know, a group of, I think, mediocre bands overall. Like, there's just a million bands, it seems, popping up that are trying to do the same thing, and we're trying to, especially with our upcoming CD, like, we're trying to separate ourselves from that, and we just want to do something different. I think punching a baby, I would immediately feel guilty. I mean, I would feel guilty either way. I can't say I want it. I didn't join or start a band until I was 18 or 19-ish, 18. But honestly, it was sports for me. Like, sports was everything to me, and still are very important to me. It's a way that, like, my family, especially my brothers and my dad, and my mom too, but it's kind of a little bit of a guy thing, a little bit more. Like, we would go and watch football together, and now it's to the point where my youngest brother just turned 21, and although I'm not able to go visit home all that often, I hope that there will be many times in the future where we can just be a bunch of guys watching some football and hanging. I know football is not very popular in Canada, but it was a huge part of my childhood and great memories. I played a lot of sports, soccer, basketball, and baseball, so sports were the thing that was my escape for a long time. And once it was tailing the end of my like high school like career, whatever you want to call it, that was when music started to really like take shape. Like, I really related to music starting around 15, 16 when I had my first heartbreak and stuff like that. And, you know, I was dealing then, you know, with the divorce that my parents had gone through, and then my dad got remarried and divorced again. And so, like, that was like what pushed me to music. But it wasn't until I was done with sports that I really like dove into music, because music was like a lifelong like thing that I might not be able to always sing or play guitar or do something, but music was always going to impact my life, you know. And I saw how much it impacted myself, my friends, and I was like, I want to be a part of that, because music is like the one thing in the world that every single person connects with. No matter who they are, like monks even, like they have music, they have their form of music. You know, people in tribes that have never seen TV or anything, they make music. Like every human being is drawn to making, you know, melody in some way, and I think that's amazing. So, I mean, at first they were like supportive in a way that it was like, I think they thought it was going to be like a hobby, like something that just went away, so they're like, oh yeah, I'll do that for a little bit and whatnot. And then it just like kept getting more intense and more intense, and I kept like putting more money into what I was doing. I dropped out of college to pursue, you know, this. I ended up moving across the country for this, like, and slowly but surely they saw how much I was willing to sacrifice and do to try and pursue this dream. And ultimately, like, my parents, the way they raised me was obviously like they wanted it to be, they would have loved for me to gone to college, finish college, get a degree, go the safe route, because they want me to be, you know, content in life. They want me to be financially stable, and they want me to have a good life. You know, they sacrificed a lot so that I could have those things. But at the end of the day, they also want me to be happy, and that comes above anything else. And my family, they support me in everything I do. Like, my parents are probably my biggest fans. My family as a whole, they come to so many shows. My brother Travis has seen me play in like something like 8 states or something like that. Like, just crazy. Like, my family's super supportive. And I couldn't be more thankful for that. I don't think I would be here right now if it weren't for that fact. Yeah. To me, like, I've always had a purpose for being on the road, and it's been to try and, you know, see how far this crazy dream can go for me, and hopefully do some good along the way. I used to have a blog that I was very active on, that was very open, and kind of put myself out there and the things I'd gone through, and I had tons of reaction from it, and but I've done that a lot. And the only part about the way I was doing it, it was extremely draining. It was very emotionally draining, because I would have a lot of kids write me and be like, I want to kill myself right now, and it was a lot to take on, especially when I'm trying to have to focus on so many other things. So I had to kind of ease. I tried to have a balance and figure out a different way. So I've tried to like be there. Like, when kids come up to me at shows, like, I'll talk to them as long as they want. But I don't try and put myself out there over the internet. I don't want to be connected to a computer like every day of my life. So when it's real life things and people are struggling with things, I mean, if someone writes me online, I recommend, you know, talking to friends, family. There's websites, and there's, you know, phone numbers you can call to have professional help from the people who finished what I, you know, had started. So I kind of push them in more that direction, but it's a very serious thing. So that's one day I'm sure I'll get back into that. I mean, you just have to do it. Like, you can't be afraid to try things. You can't be afraid to fail. I was horrible at singing, not like god awful, I guess you could say, but especially switching into this genre where it's not like the right way to sing necessarily. You know, you're doing things, you're pushing your voice in ways that it's not meant to go. I was horrible, you know. I couldn't scream. I couldn't scream when I joined The Word Alive. I learned how to scream for this band. And if you want something bad enough, you can have it. You can obtain it. Especially things like this, where I know so many musicians who are some of kids' biggest influences or some of the biggest bands in the world, and they'll tell you straight up that they were horrible when they started. Like, god awful, could not play, hurt to touch a guitar, like, you know, and hearing their stories and seeing, you know, where I was to now, like, I truly believe, especially with music, sports is a little bit different because you kind of have to have some sort of an athletic gift to do certain things. I mean, like, if you can't jump high, you can't jump high, you know, like, but training things, like, obviously can help, but like with singing and playing instruments, it's something that I feel like anyone can do. You just have to want it bad enough. So if you want it bad, just go for it. You know, there's no limit to how far you can take your talents. Man, this is just horrible. There's no good answer to that. And I almost took it way further, and I don't want to say what's on my mind even, but I'll just leave it at, I'll punt a baby. You just have to. Like, for me, like, when I didn't say goodbye to my family when I went to California from Ohio. I just got in my car and I left. And sometimes you just have to go. You just have to get in the van, or you have to get in the car, whatever the case may be. Like, you just have to do it. You just have to go to your music store. You have to spend all your money you have on your first equipment. Like, you just have to make that conscious choice that I'm gonna start, and maybe it'll go somewhere, maybe it won't, but you know, you can't really live your life wondering. So I didn't want to live my life wondering what could have been. So until I'm content with what I've done and accomplished, this is what I do. Hey guys, it's Telle from The Word Alive with HiddenCitySounds. Do what you love.